please go to New Love Life events on YouTube to support our new channel. If you want to hear about some relationship stuff that we're doing over there, is it New Love Life? Yeah, New Love events.
I'm about to share
New Love events on YouTube. Yep. We're going to share the link with y'all. We're going to put it in here so you guys can have it. Also, please check the link below for our upcoming event in Dallas. We have a Dallas event with Brother Roger Martin. And we have another sister, special guest coming in. We might bring her on one of the shows. But the link for tickets will be below the video. So you guys can hit that link anytime you want. All right. But yeah, we can get started, y'all. I'm gonna give it over to Brother Roger Martin.
All right, so we're going to get started with this conversation. And I think today the conversation is going to be something that probably a lot of people probably have experienced, and then some people may not. But if you're about to experience what we're going to talk about today, this may be for you and for those of you who have to get a better understanding when it comes down to commingling existing families. But there is also a caveat to this, because there's a little difference when it becomes being that designated stepfather, stepmother, and all of this, and the integration of the family and the perception of how those children see you can play havoc on a relationship. So we got Brother Joseph here. You know, of course, y'all know he's married, and so therefore he can understand. But he grew up with a stepfather, so he's going to give you that perspective, and then how he became the man he is and saw that situation totally different. So make sure y'all stick around for that. Then we got Brother Dreamwise and his lovely wife, Desiree, here. And you know what? We could talk about how these people, y'all don't have stepkids. Y'all got kids together, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes.
Well, they made babies together. But either way, we're going to get that conversation going. And I'm just going to start it out and just kind of hit it. I have been in that situation of being a stepfather. And I got a lot of stories to tell, but I won't take over that particular moment, because it could be trauma. It was good days, it was bad days, and then it was some amazing, crazy, if I had my beat machine, beep days. Okay, so when we get down there. So the first thing about it, man, how did we come up with this being an important conversation anyway, Brother Joseph? I'll start that with you, where you thought, because you set some of these agendas here, and then collectively we all agree on them, but it was your idea. So let's go there.
Yes, absolutely. So this is just a topic, you know, we want to focus on the spiritual community. You know, that's kind of where we want to really focus on people get into relationships. But hey, it's for the world. It's for whoever can get to it, you know. But we really want to focus on the spiritual community, and you know, we need to talk about it all. So I figured, you know, I'm pretty sure there's people with step-parents, stepmothers, or stepfathers in the spiritual community, and you know, we just want to give our perspective. And I thought it'd be a really good idea to talk about every angle of relationships, you know, that we deal with, and including having step-parents. You know, some people disagree about the role of step-parents. Some people probably are in a relationship with have step-parents that may not have good experience. You know, some people probably had a great experience with step-parents, you know, having stepmother or stepfather. You know, and I know both sides, you know, so I thought it'd be a great topic for the spiritual community to discuss. And, you know, maybe we could help somebody with some advice, or you may totally disagree with us. You know, either way, it's great. As long as we have this conversation, I think it needs to be had.
Yeah, and Joseph was talking, and we was building on the phone. And one of my clients, they had an issue with stepchildren. And then Joseph was telling me that he had a client before that had issue with stepchildren. So we was like, oh, shoot, okay, let's go ahead and knock this one out, because our particular age group and demographic is dealing with that. Like, let's be real. Everybody has kids now. Everybody's 30 and up. I mean, we do got some younger individuals that listen to us, but majority of the family is in that 30, the millennials. And what's the other one after millennials?
Generation X or something like that.
Yeah,
diaper people. Let's go.
The young boomer babies. That's what they are. Yeah. So we're all in that same age group. And if you're out here trying to, you know, find love and just build in a union, then, you know, that's one of the aspects you got to deal with. That past relationship kid that you got to bring with you.
Well, it's definitely not luggage. That's like a cap. It's wool. You wear it every day, and pretty much. But I want to kind of go with verbiage here. Everyone's saying, the step kids. Could it be the parents though? You know what I'm saying? Is it the children that are formulating this, or is the parents starting out not setting boundaries and simply by saying, hey, this is the man or this is the woman, I choose this one, because you're talking against their mom or dad, so the heroes to their lives. And how do you paint the picture that mom or dad chose another hero over theirs, and it's not the kids, because the kids is a byproduct of that situation sometimes.
Right.
What do y'all think on that? Yeah.
Go ahead, Sis D Ray. You wanna answer that one?
Well, something that came to mind as I read one of the comments here that said, I didn't like my stepmom when I was growing up. And that's why I think this conversation is so important, because it doesn't stop at the dislike for a stepmom or a stepdad. These things stay with us as we go through our relationship experiences. And I've had so many clients who've had issues in their relationships with their husband, right? Based off of the lack of love that they received from their father when their father got a new woman.
Mm.
Okay. So um I've just talked to many women who've had this experience of their father getting a new wife or a new girl, and that fragmenting their relationship with him. And then that impacts their marriage, their love life. Right. So yeah, the conversation is super important. Being a step parent, in my experience of having multiple step parents at multiple different times of my life, is such a powerful role, where you can impact a child in a positive way, right? But I think the person who is deciding to fill those shoes has to come with a certain heart, with a certain energy, and with a certain type of love, not just for that child, right? But a love that they carry within them holistically in order to really do that job well.
That's a fact. I'll give y'all a story of my situation. I was in a relationship with a girl, and her kid just was um, a beautiful spirit, really fun, laughter. Like I got along better with the son. And me and the girl, we were just in a drug relationship, so we basically was just codependent on each other with drugs. So I didn't really love her like that, but I loved the kid. And one day I was just going back and forth in my mind, going back and forth, just thinking like, "Damn, this girl ain't for me." But the kid, man, I just have a great bond with him. Da, 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 da.
Mm.
And the next day, the very next day, I had picked him up. Um, I had picked him up from one of his auntie's house or something like that. And I guess he just got through being with his dad or whatever. And I took him to get some food or whatever. And I said something as simple as, "Hand me the salt." And he said, "You ain't my daddy."
Mm.
And I knew, I said, "Oh, hey, I got love for you, little man, but you just confirmed that, I can't beat out a particular energy that I'm feeling for your mom. So you
Mm.
just
Well, how
confirmed."
do you tell a kid that? Because he's not understanding that lingo, right?
I
It's
didn't
like,
tell him that. I
just
just,
I ain't buy you no more toys. Plain and simple. Speak his language. I don't know, but
man, because I knew the toxic relationship me and the mom had, it wasn't
Mm.
really genuine love there. Love is the highest spiritual connection you have in this
yeah.
earth realm. So when you feel it, when you know, like, yes, this is not it, but I got love for the kid because he just was a burst of personality. You know how you have kind of love for friends, but the kid is just playing the video games with him. He making me laugh. I'm making him laugh, and we just had a real symbiotic relationship. But that moment he said that, it was almost like a confirmation that spirit said, "Yeah, go ahead and do your own thing."
So what you're saying is that your connection with the mother did not supersede that, moment of tension between you and her son, and so you decided, the love that I have for her is not enough to deal with this type of energy.
Yeah, I didn't really have no love for her. I just really enjoyed. It's a funny thing because you be in these relationships based off of like influence of the drugs and just being in a particular toxic relationship. But like the kid can bring you smile. The childlike spirit essence can make you feel some kind of love. So I had the love for the kid, not necessarily for the mom. And that kind of tripwired me into a weird dynamic because I know I have to be building a union, a spiritual love union with a particular mate. You feel me?
Mhm.
So naturally, what I'm saying, if I'm feeling this type of way, I can't really do nothing as to befriend the kid and just stay with the girl to be in a sad toxic relationship. I have to be able to do me in my union and what I came there originally for, and let the kid go.
No doubt, no doubt. And I wanted to say something, and it all ties back to what Brother Roderick said earlier about is it the parents or is it the children? You know what I'm saying? It could be both, depending on, I guess, how you look at it. But I would say, from my perspective, I'd probably be the parents because they're the only ones that's really responsible in this situation. And it's based on the parents how the children are going to respond. You know what I mean? The children respond the way you let them respond. Because children, when they're young, let's be honest, if you don't train them to be respectful, they'll be disrespectful naturally.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? The kids are just, and they're not trying to be mean. Kids are chaos. You have to control the chaos with a child. You know what I mean? So I think that's when roles come in. I think too many people get together without understanding what they are, who they are. I think people get into relationships better, no matter what age you are, if you get into the relationship knowing who you are. Mm-hmm. And the woman knows who she is, and she's already training her children, because we all know the first teacher of the child is the woman. So she's already raising the child to be respectful about. And then you never know, Dream. The dad might have told him, "Hey, anything he says, you telling me you ain't my dad." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So once again, it goes back to the parents teaching the kids to be a certain way. You know what I mean? From my perspective. But yeah, it's crazy because I just think if we understand and learn roles, that could be fixed. You know what I mean?
Do y'all think? Because I met the kid rather early in the relationship, which was an interesting dynamic. Because usually they hold off 2-3 months or whatever, but I met him like in the first 2 weeks, and we kind of built a relationship from there. But do y'all believe that you have to necessarily like and love both as you're growing in courting a goddess or a god?
Well, I think it's important to love children. I mean, the mother, if vice versa, man, woman, whatever that relationship you went with a person, you're going to take time for y'all to learn to get along or even fall in love with this person. Mm-hmm. But children are lovable. You know what I'm saying? As long as they're good and they don't get in your nerves. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's important for a person to understand, do I really like kids? Because some people can't stand being around kids, Do I really like kids? If I don't, then let me be honest with the situation. And if I do, then let me be honest with the situation. You know what I mean?
I have some badass kids in my day too. I seen some bad kids. They they'll turn it up real quick.
Oh yeah. A lot of them are like that. And I want to say something real quick too. Now I'll send it back to Brother Roger. There was something I shared with Dream about a month ago about a video I saw.
Uh-oh. Guess we lost his video feed.
Oh, right when he said video.
You went out, Joseph.
All right, but everybody else okay, right? We can see y'all.
Mm-hmm.
We all good. Just Brother Joseph. All right, so let me we got him frozen with the look though, right? So he do it. Yeah, we called him right there. I mean, either he just met some step kids or something, whatever it is. I see that look before. Listen, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna shift gears a little bit because I am going to do that. I have two personalities, and rarely do I show the second one. So today I'm going to introduce everybody to Roderick, not Roderick. All right. Roderick been through some shit, okay? And let me just say this, because for all of you who are anticipating that journey, it is a piece of work. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say anything. And there could be people that are in a good chemistry of all of that, right? When it comes down to that. But there are so many dynamics from, especially if you have kids somewhere else and you're providing this house with the stepkids, and how you're going to allocate when you're doing this for your kids and this kids, and are these hours. Now, from my personal experience, and I'm just speaking from that, there is a huge distinction between who kids they are. Okay, when it comes down to discipline, where things are happening, what is going on, and all of this. And although we want to make sure these things are talked through initially in the beginning, uh, but we're talking real time now. We're talking real time. And there is nothing more what Dreamwise just said. When you are a provider of the house and you're sitting there doing what you're doing, you're paying the lights bills, and there's also these hidden rules. So I'm gonna talk about that later, where you got to know what type of relationship those two people had that made those children. Now, I came from the hood, so the hood was always this: don't put the man in people's lives and all of that. And so I found myself in a situation not only taking care of their mother and someone else's kids, and financially, and the dad was getting a pass all day long. And the thing was, hey, I don't, well, I don't want to deal with the state now. That my perceptions changed, because it was a little different if it was me. But I'm like, wait a minute, he getting a free pass. He don't have to pay nothing, do nothing, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm footing all this bill. And so therefore, it ain't about me anymore. Or you, that money is for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm the parent in this deal, right? Then you have things that I ran into, which is probably, we can get into another conversation on that, is raising the philosophy of someone else's children. And I'll give you one that's so hidden that a lot of people don't see, especially if it's a mother raising sons and your stepfather coming in there. And you start hearing verbiage of, oh, I want to give my kids things I never had and all that. And you're thinking, yeah, we're going to work and be a provider. I started noticing that is a psychological warfare. And I had to go really study this, because she was speaking, yeah, I want to give my kids more than what I had. But she also was thinking subconsciously of what she didn't get. And she was a woman. We're raising these boys, right? So I started noticing there was a trend of things that was happening, the nurturing, how she was treating them. And then it went against discipline, because I'm going to bring in this male discipline. But it was the philosophy of her being a woman, giving these boys what a woman never had as a kid, and inadvertently raising little women, right? And so I'm dealing with this, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is not working out right. Now you got to step up, and now you got conflict, because that little boy needs to be shaken a little bit, not by the head, but you get what I'm saying, where, hey, it's a different conversation with him. And then I'm finding myself overlooking her having a woman conversation with a kid that he don't even know what he is, and I'm dealing with it on the back end. So those are little things there. Y'all can kind of chime in on that one. I got a list of them. But,
I want to start here, and then I, of course, want to hear what the rest of you fellas have to say. But I want to say thank you, Roderick or Roderick, whichever one you are right now, right?
right.
Because you provided for a family. You provided for a woman and children who were in need. And that is something, and what I hear you speak, I'm hearing beyond just the financial aspect, because you're also looking at the mental, emotional, and physical effects that her upbringing was going to have on that son. So that means you were present holistically, and though things don't work out the way you probably wanted it to be, or the way she wanted to be, or how you thought it was supposed to be, for that moment in time, your presence made a difference. Whether it took stress off her shoulders, or she could actually give her kids some attention, whether it was providing shoes so the kid could go play basketball on the team, whatever it was, those things mattered. You know what I mean? So to any and all men out there that are providing and making a way for a woman and children to live and be safe, like you are appreciated,
Mhm.
right? You are appreciated and you're doing something that is a part of your divine nature, you know.
But you
So
know, that should be coming from you though. It should have came from that woman. You get what I'm saying, and those kids. But I get what you're saying, and I'm totally with that. And but you
and
know the
you
most,
may not get it in words like thank
yeah,
you, like what I'm doing. But if you see that kid on Facebook and you see some sort of positive something happening, then that could be one of those moments of just gratitude of that, you know, that space and time. And I say that to you as a girl who grew up with a single mother who had boyfriends, who had husbands, these are with an S. Um, and I could say this too, had tricks. Do you
yeah,
understand? Um, but she was doing it out of survival,
yeah, yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so, you know, so we gotta acknowledge that and just say, you know, thank you if you did not get that, because you do deserve that. And any man that is out there providing physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally deserves that, those words of gratitude.
Yeah,
Um
Absolutely.
my
Yeah,
mama,
yeah,
my mama had got with us. My stepdad, maybe my sophomore year in high school, and essentially he was a real time provider or whatever. So much so that we moved into a bigger white area house, and we never talked nothing. Like it was like we was on mute with each other for some weird reason. But the one thing that I do appreciate is me being in that environment and experiencing Caucasian kids going to school and how they're getting taught and how they're getting to see the world or their perspective on the world through the white lens of these teachers teaching them, instead of being in the hood, being ridiculed and, you know, chastised at every moment just because we're black and we feel like we're bad, or or the teachers feel like our black kids just don't get it, right? So me seeing that different perspective, I pay kudos to my stepdad, even though we never spoke and we never really had any, bond or anything. But just
mhm.
being in that environment changed my perspective and put me into the man I am today.
well,
And
Yeah.
I
then let
like
me
it.
say this
Yeah,
to that, and how what I'm saying, this energy is timeless, you know, because we need healthy masculine energy when we're talking about the stepdad perspective. And we're saying it's stepdad because we've been talking about stepdad, but it's the same thing for stepmom.
yeah. I was putting my notes to
No
make sure
matter,
everyone knew it's the same.
you
Yeah,
know, no, we all need healthy masculine and healthy feminine in our lives, regardless of if we get it from a stepdad, the person at the barbershop, a volleyball coach, whoever. You understand?
Yeah.
So, what I was going to say is that it's a beautiful thing how these roles continue to show up in your life beyond your mother, beyond your childhood. So, I got a new stepdad in my senior year of college. Well, actually, they started dating my freshman year in college. Um, yep. My freshman year in college, my mom and my stepdad started dating. Mind you, they've been together now 15 years.
Yeah. 15 years yesterday. They
They
remind
had 15 years yesterday.
us good. Day.
So I remember my mom then when they were picking me. Am I still here? Can you hear me?
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very.
All right, awesome. My phone had rang. My parents were well, my mom was supposed to be picking me up from the airport. I was coming home for Christmas break. Y'all know I was a college volleyball player. And so I'm coming home and I'm in the airport and I'm waiting for them. And this random man comes up to me. He was like, Desi. And I'm like, who is you? Yeah,
Right,
I'm
right.
so and so. I'm your mama's man, basically. Right. And he rolls my suitcase to the car. We get in the car, we ride, we talk, we instantly have a bond.
Mm.
Mm.
Now, mind you, I have my biological father, you know, in my life, even though I grew up with a single mom. My dad was like a a weekend dad, or every other weekend dad, if you know what I mean. So my stepfather 15 years ago comes into my life and makes a wonderful impact and influence in a multitude of ways. And I could also say, in my observation of you, babe, and him, he also kind of fills a father role for you, whether it's you let him do that or if it naturally happens.
Oh yeah, he kind of
Yeah.
feels like hey. You know them boys. You know boys feel that way, but it's a beautiful thing, especially with the elders. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to let them do them. Sometimes a majority of the times we can be fathering even though we're younger.
Mm.
So it's a different lens that you got to look at this thing from a cosmic spiritual level. Shit, I was asking Roderick some advice yesterday. Shit, that nigga said, give me some daddy advice too.
Hey, well, you know, I like to say this though, and I think my stepdad used to beat the shit out of us. I mean, I went to school with swole eyes, stitching card whippings. It was a tumultuous time. Now, of course,
Mm.
I was a calf, and of course, from the street, I grew up and became a bull, and he met that, years later,
Mm.
and it was just totally not a good thing for him. But out of love that my mom had for him, she let him govern that situation. But it was always more because I remember my uncles breaking the windows out, coming in there trying to fight him, and it was just bad, the whole 9 yards. So now it didn't evaluate how I saw and perceived being a better person I am today. It just, of course, that was my personal experience or the trauma that we can go with it. But of course, dealing with it, getting over it over the years, and you do your thing. But I guess we can look at the audience and ask them, because there's a good side to this, and then there's a bad side. There's that honorable, being doing the right thing, and there is that experience. So I don't know if we need to be given a warning today for it, or an observation of what you could possibly encounter, or you just give the kudos to the ones that, hey, you in it and blah blah blah. Because I did see a message in the chat. Someone said, me and my kid are by ourselves, and my kid love it that way. Now, I'm not trying to get objective to that, but I do. My senses tell me that's a whole different scenario, because at this point, is it right for the kid to be missing half of what it's going to grow to, right? And who's comfortable with that? Because there is a inherent ability that a male and a woman have different attributes to children. I mean, you can drive a car by yourself, but at the end of the day, you still need 4 tires, right, to get where it's going. So it's just more or less, and I think that's the knock on it now, because there's a lot of people say, I don't need no man raising my kids. I can be both of them to them, whether they're male, female, or whether they're male. I don't know. And so when we're talking about conscious community love, then is that a barrier that we need to make sure that we're able to convey to people that, hey, you got to think beyond yourself and look in a mirror, and can you be all of that? Not because you are that, but is that in the best interest of your children? And I don't mean accept anybody, in your life either. But at some point, there's a whole lot of different elements involved when it comes down to, oh, I can just do this by myself, so to speak, or not, and the kids are collateral because they don't know. They don't know they're missing a father if they never had one. So it's like the mother I don't need a man, but that don't mean he don't need a father. So what are y'all thoughts on that?
I like to speak to that. So we're all spiritual. We claim to be spiritual. Well, hopefully everybody on here follows some type of spirituality. Yeah. Well, if that's true, and you follow some type of spirituality, you call yourself spiritual, then that means that you're trying to improve your awareness. You're trying to, you're working on what you're aware of. And what you should be aware of is going to be something positive. Usually when you become more aware, you have positive experiences because you get to find truth.
Yep.
You get to find truth. The hard part about being spiritual is accepting the truth when you get it. Because sometimes it's about you. Sometimes it's about our own selves. And it's like, I ain't never seen this part of myself before. Well, there it is. Right? Now, with that being said, if we claim to be spiritual, we're a spiritual community, and we're working on our relationships, then that means we have to hold ourselves accountable to based on what type of person we pick. If we are going to pick a stepmother or a stepfather, we got your little daughters, and we're bringing in a stepmother. We have to pick the right person, not just based on, I think this person is sexy, or I think this person, is good looking. No, now you got somebody else to think about. So now you can no longer shop around for a mate based on, I like this person. Well, how would they? What type of, person would they be for your children?
Yep.
Because they're there too, and I think that's where the bad step parents come in, because a mom or a dad may pick the wrong person based on what they want, and it's not the best thing for the.
That was my very point. Yeah.
So I think today we could speak to all that. There's some bad step parents without a shadow of a doubt. You know what I'm saying? That have hurt people, that have injured people, even murdered some people. And then there's lovely, beautiful step parents that have been great and had impacts on people's lives. You know what I mean? In a lot of good ways.
Absolutely.
And then sometimes though, you got to really, even the step parents, when they come into it, they have to understand what they're coming into as well. You can't just think of this person sexy and maybe it'll work out with her kids. Or this guy is sexy and maybe it'll work out with his kids. You got to really, that's why dating needs to come back. People don't date like that no more. A couple 2 weeks, you like me, I like you, let's move in together. And it needs to be slowed down, really, especially when there's children involved, So I wanted to say this real quick. The last time I got cut off, my power went out. That's something in Texas I hate. There's shortages when the thunderstorms happen. So I was telling Dream about this about a month ago. There, I was watching Anton Daniels, and he put up a video of a man who, and this story broke my heart. He was with this woman for over 20 years. He raised his boy since he was 1 year old. Right? Only person this little boy knows is this man. Right? But the little boy grew up to know that this was his stepfather. He took him to football practice, and a young boy, put him in karate, taught him to be respectful to his elders. He raised the boy, paid for his college, doing all this stuff, getting ready to pay for his college at least. Well, when it came to what college he was going to go to, and the father wanted to put his 2 cents in, him and the mother started having a dispute. And hopefully I'm telling the story the right way. I just know that what it came down to, the mother looked at the husband after 20 years of raising his boy and said, "You can't tell me what I want to do with my own son." And he was he was tortured by that. He was through. And that's why I warn women, y'all can hurt a man. I think there's some women, because they've been through negative things with men, they don't believe men have feelings. I'm telling you what I know. Some women really don't believe that. So they feel like I can say what I want to say to him because he don't feel nothing anyway. He don't feel nothing anyway. This man was destroyed. You could look at this older guy and tell he was a good man. He was done with her. After all this time I've been married to you, and I've been raising a son like he was my own son, and it's the only child we have, and you gonna tell me I don't got no say-so in his life?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Just that fast, a woman destroyed her marriage and destroyed a good man. Probably destroyed this man. He done wasted all his life raising a boy. Now he feel like he's nothing. So life and death is really in the power. You got to be careful what you say. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure if she said something like that, this is something she said bad things before, but a good man, he just dealt with it. Right? He raising his boy. And I'm pretty sure he loved this boy. But now guess what happens? If he break up with her, she can say, "Hey, you can't see my son. I raised him. I love him. What you mean I can't see him?" Now, with all that being said, I don't want to destroy the idea that men shouldn't date women that have children. No, if you find a woman, there's nothing wrong with that. I know stories of men dating women, and they went on to have women with children, and they have good lives. Even vice versa, women who date men with children, and they go on to have good lives. It's all about finding the right person. It's all about finding the right person. I'm one of them guys who don't believe women lose value just because they got a one child or a 2 child. Now I'm gonna tell y'all a story real quick, and it's over. My stepdad came into my life. My mother has 6 children, and he's still married to my mother. My father has 4 boys. My mother, and during the time, my mom was raising her 2 nieces. So she had 2 nieces she was raising, plus her own 4 sons from a previous marriage. And my stepdad stepped in. And we had our ups and downs, me and my stepdad, back and forth. But in the long run, me and him worked it out. And I love him like a father to this day. You see what I'm saying? So I want to tell you, I seen somebody here right. Well, I ain't, I'm done with dating women with children. Well, maybe you went through something bad. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that to be for everybody. If you find somebody you love, even if they have children, accept love. So I just wanted to say that.
No,
well, I mean, I went through that. I went through that personally. I was married to the she-wolf for probably whatever. When I met the kids, they was look. That's what I'm she-wolf.
I just have to know why you call her that. That is so crazy.
Some days she was just beautiful, and some days she was a wolf. So the she-wolf. That's all I can say. So when I was married to the she-wolf, we were probably the kids. I met them. They was 1, 8, and 9, and I raised them boys. I'm telling you, till they got 12. And Brother Yo's 100% correct. When we got that divorce, it became these are her boys. You can't see them. I mean, I went through hospitals with them, different things. One of them I was going to adopt personally because his father was never around, and she was against that because she felt I was going to provide a better life for him than his brothers it was, crazy stuff. And I look back at it now, like, okay, fine, that's cool, and I'm still able, I'll just make me another one, if I want a son, because I don't have any sons, I have daughters. But the whole point of it all, it is true, because you have no rights. It's different than my 2 children over here that I can go to court for at the time. And okay, but over there, when the mom says it's done and you can't call them, you can't talk to them, and you can't blah, 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 it's done. And that's a story of, and we can say all day long, but yeah, and when it's war, then that's that collateral damage, and they know where to hit you because they know you love those kids, or I would say in my experience, personally, I'm just going to speak for me, and knowing the type of person I was. And so that was a lesson learned. You learn that you have to understand that, especially if you meet someone else with children, the possibilities of all of it, unless the situation is a little unique, where maybe, there's not that, involvement of the other parenting, or maybe the other parent is somebody who understands, and all those stuff. Yeah. So it was crazy. And it end up at the end of the day, I've been up, going through all of that. So you was right on that. So what about, let me just move into some other conversations and ask you all some questions. I have an audience in here. I want y'all to know we got people lined up on this wall here, working, listening, and hey, Holly over there. So we need a real life thing. They're mic'd up so they can ask questions and y'all can hear it too.
One thing I want to say real quick is that one of the aspects of being a spiritual being, having a human experience, is to understand that we are living moment to moment. So all of these particular adventures that we're having on a day-to-day basis doesn't necessarily merit an end result of something that we see or something that we want to see come forth, right? So all we can do as we're having these experiences with a particular mate that we fell in love with and she has kids is be in that moment and relish in that moment. So like even with Yosef's story, the dude has to understand deeper that, you know what I'm saying, he had a powerful, monumental experience in this earth realm as an adventure that he can cherish and put into his Akashic records that says, yeah, I did that. No matter how the story ends, you did that and you lived that. And essentially, if we, you know what I'm saying, start thinking of everything as an investment, I know we really want to do that, but at the end of the day, the real investment is now. How are you feeling right now? Did it feel good to take that young man to the soccer game? Did it feel good to bless this young man with a car, right? That feeling, that dharma right there is going to get repaid back in a different type of currency. It's going to get repaid back in energy that's beyond this earth realm.
Listen, so, I didn't mean to cut you short, but we have somebody in the chat that I think we all want to put some energy toward, a little light energy. And before it go, I can't control the movement, but it's going up. But it's Maria. That's who said something earlier. Maria, I would love to talk, and I'm sure Brother Joseph, but I think we should give her a little focus because she said something here. The problem she had with the man is that he was jealous of the love she had for her son, and then it turned into hate. See, I don't, and I'm not talking at you, I'm talking to you. I don't buy that, right? Because there's no way if he was a complete man to know that you wouldn't have tremendous love for your own child. Obviously, there has been a situation where that man wasn't the man of that house or the situation, and that child became something else. And yeah, at the end of the day, he's going to know that you are going to give the kid the big piece of chicken. I'm just using the humor now, right? When dinner is being made. There's a lot of incidents that are happening here. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to give him a pass either. But this is where I was talking about where the parents have to become this barrier of letting the kid know, okay, I have a love for you this way, and I got a love for him this way. And both should know that those are not going to intertwine where they have to have some jealousy between who and what's loving who, and that has to come through some other stuff. So that's, what do y'all think about that? Yeah, that's the chat. Yeah.
First of all, we always have to look at ourselves, regardless of what the man did. We have to, and I don't know who you are, Maria, but I'm just going to be honest. You have to look at yourself and say, I brought this man in our life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We have to take accountability and said, if y'all went through all that, first of all, the person jealous is very obvious from being around them for a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. This is why I tell people, take your time in relationships, because the true person always going to come out. Give it a couple months, and if you see this man is jealous, that's not a masculine trait at all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Get rid of him. Anybody dating a jealous man, get rid of him straight up. That's not a man. You know what I mean? So I just want to say that real quick, and I'll let somebody else speak. Maria, I'm sorry that happened, but at the same time, we have to look at yourself and make in the future make better decisions. So a person like that you won't have an issue like that for you and your son in the future.
Yeah, no, Joseph, you're right. It is an inner work journey. So just like you were saying earlier, when you are healed within, then the particular mirror that you see is not going to be jealous because you don't have a jealous spirit in your body. So naturally, what's going to happen is you're going to resonate with somebody that's confident, that's assured of himself, that's not going to think a child is taking your position.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So naturally, we got to get back into our chakra work, get back into our healing work, healing the wounded child, speaking of children, and fall deeply in love with ourselves. So the resonance, so the particular mirror that we see in, the reflection that we're seeing every day that we're calling our mate is thorough to be able to have love for another as well. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're having this new Love Life event, 8/8, because essentially we want to put like-minded individuals in a room together and see if they can build a friendship. Right? Y'all all might have kids, y'all all might have particular past or whatever, right? But essentially what we want to do is find like-minded individuals that are spiritually inclined, right? That have a certain essence of themselves that, can be able to understand the healing process of this journey. And the last event, we had 2 people get together and they were, and they were both conscious, aware,
yeah,
you know me, and it worked. So if our Dharma, this whole new Love Life tribe that we're doing is moving people into rooms and just putting you in the proximity of these individuals that have a spiritual mind, then shoot, we did our work.
Yeah, and I want to say, don't worry about your age. I get a lot of people who tell me, "Oh, I'm 60. Ain't nobody ever gonna be my age." That's not true. We had older people at the last event. We had younger people. Come on out, because you don't never know who could be there for you. There'll be older men there, and there'll be younger men, and there'll be older women, and there'll be younger women. So there's something for everybody. So So come on now and don't be worried about your age. And I'll say the last thing, and I'll let somebody else speak. My master teacher, Master Mitchell Gibson, is a great example of what we're talking about. He got with his wife when the children were very small, and he raised them and loved them like his own. And then him and his wife went on to build this multi-million-dollar spiritual website, where they sold spiritual tools.
Yep.
So it could happen. He was already a medical doctor. He was a medical doctor doing well for himself. So what I'm saying is it takes a special type of man.
Yes.
And the ladies got to understand what you're getting when you get a stepdad, a good stepdad. It's a special type of man that will accept that and raise another man's child. Most men won't do that. We see what happens in the wild. The lion kills the other cubs so he can have his own children. So be very careful, ladies, about who you're getting with. If you see any red flag, leave them alone, and vice versa. Do the same for the men, vice versa.
Absolutely.
Somebody said, what about staying single for life and having friends for life?
That's what a person chooses to, nothing wrong with that. That's what they choose to do,
Do it. Do it. That's how you do it. All right. So I'm going to bring up another conversation and kind of piggyback on what you were just talking about, Brother Joseph. So in these dynamics, is there a special, how can I say, more of a different observation? Number one, if you're a woman and you got girls and you bring them in, if you are a woman, you got boys and you bring in a man. And if you're a woman, you got girls or boys and you bring in another woman, all of this stuff, it's just going to dictate how these kids turn out, so to speak.
Yeah,
Go ahead, yo.
So I would say that if you're, it is my opinion, if you're a man and you're dating a woman with multiple daughters, you should not put your hands on them daughters. You shouldn't even spank them. You shouldn't even spank them. That's my opinion. Boys gonna need discipline, but if you're gonna do it with love. Now we live in a new world today where people don't whip their kids no more. So that's a weird thing today. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the old school. I still kind of believe in that. But at the same time, if you're gonna discipline a child, even verbally, do it with love and compassion, understanding the child. But it's hard to do it when they're already teenagers. Let's be honest. They already got their own mindset and they don't have to listen to you. So you have to take that into as you marry a person, as you get with a person as well. Are their children well behaved? Do they know how to respect their elders? Because I've heard horror stories of men and women who got with another person and the kids were just beyond disrespectful, threatening to put their hands on them and everything, So I done heard some horrible stories. So don't get a person just because they're attractive. Make sure you get with a person who has raised their children to be respectful and kind, and then you won't have no problem with these teenager child. When they're little, you got more leeway. You can raise them up better. You can pretty much raise them. But when they're already 13, 14, 15, 16, it's a whole other story. Make sure they're respectful.
All right, I'm gonna turn on my mics over here for our live audience in case they got some questions. Y'all want to answer some of them?
And by the way, y'all, I gotta go at 5, but y'all can continue on if this still goes on. I think I could cut it off, and y'all, when it went out, was y'all still able to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all can still keep it going. I gotta get off here in 10 minutes, but y'all can keep it going, so no problem.
Yeah, no problem. And I go live at 5 anyway. We're gonna be doing Q&A about aliens, reptilians, but we can extend this, and I will just go live after this. Do y'all have any questions over there? Anybody? I can turn on the mic. You? No. Okay, so they're waiting on the next show then. We're going. Somebody got a few statements then. Can y'all hear Devin talk?
Can you hear me okay?
Can y'all hear him okay?
Yeah, you hear him.
He's mic'd up. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say is that 90% of kids, if you can't get control of your child at the age of 12 or before, it's almost a hopeless case. You have to be able to control your child at the age of 12. That's the magic number. 12, 13. If not, it's not a good thing. And as far as the other situation where we were talking about the I just lost my train of thought. But
a lot of kids are in the theta state from 0 to 7, 0 to 9, and that theta stage is a stage where you can impact their life with a certain ideas or programmings, because essentially all we are influencers as parents. So us being this influence, or there's something rubbing off on them that's giving them some kind of way to move and way to act. So naturally, you don't necessarily have to tell the kid; they just follow along when they're at that prime age, 0 to 9. But yeah, he's right. Once they get to about 12, 13, they're set in their ways. It's not a lost cause, but essentially, you know what I'm saying, it's an uphill climb for them to follow a particular script or narrative that you're trying to program them with.
Yeah, that's like 90% of your learning, 0 to 9. It, it develops your character, the personality, all of that. That carries on the rest of your life.
I have a tip that I want to give, just hit me spiritually, that I want to share with everyone, especially if you're going to be in these scenarios. And this is something I learned too, but it also will be helpful for a lot of people, especially if you are in the opposite situation where your kids are at a home and there's another person there. Okay. Whether it's another father, mother, girlfriend, whatever. And that's always this issue, because what happens is the other parent will try to tell the kid, don't tell your mother or father our business. What's going on in my house, stay in my house. And it took really a lot out of me, because at that time I was really gangstified, so I was like, you know what, we're not going to play with this, sleep with the fishes, whatever you want to do, allegedly, and so at this point I was like, but I had to grow. I had to mentally grow, because I had street power and that was easily solvable. But now you got to maneuver. You got to become something totally different, more mature, more, and of course I grew that way because that's where I am today. But one of the things I want to share with you, and if you are in this situation, this is for you. If you think your kid is telling your business, you got to remember this. And I had to learn this. That kid is not telling your business. They're talking to the other parent about their business. It just so happened you're a participant in the story. And if you can get past that, you won't be condemning a kid for reaching out to their dad or reaching out to their mom because they are having an issue somewhere, because that issue can turn into something else. And I just want to throw that out there, because I know that runs rabbit, where people shut down the communication coming out. So this is where they don't get to talk or hear what's happening with their children. And then the children implode because they don't have no trust, nowhere to go. So just remember, that kid is telling their business and not you and your man or woman's business,
Absolutely. That makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is a powerful conversation, and we can definitely carry it out in the new love life event on 8/8. Remember, love is a union. Love is a sacred union, and it's the most potent energy in the world. So we got to understand that you wanting to have this single life, you know what I'm saying, you're not really being in the spiritual alchemy of this thing, what this thing is all meant to be, right? We can just look at all of our master teachers. They're all been married, right? And they all have relationships, loving relationships. And that took them to higher and higher levels. We can believe what we want to believe. But again, you came here to build and have a union with somebody that will help you grow spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and beyond.
Yes,
Look,
absolutely.
I'm here laughing. I'm reading a private chat, and I'm like, oh, we got a message in the private chat. Dream, what do you want to eat? I'm like, what about the rest of us?
All right.
So his wife sent in a message, what you want to eat? I'm like, what about the rest of us? So hey, they handle it up. That's how it works.
That's
I wanted to say real quick too. Somebody put a thing in the chat about, what if you're dating a woman that got grown children?
That's living in the house or out the house. It depends on where they at.
Right.
If they still in the house, that's a different story.
That's the same situation as a teenager. If they disrespectful, they always gonna give you an issue. And you have to look at that parent for, hey, why are your children like this?
Yeah.
I had a friend once who was dating a girl, and it was 1 o'clock in the middle of school night. The boy up playing wrestling on video games 1 o'clock in the morning. So he get up to use the bathroom. He said, "Boy, you still up?" He said, "Man, turn that off and go to bed." The boy threw a fit. His mom was like, "Oh, just let him play it. He'll go to sleep when he feel like it." After that, he was ready to be done with the woman. He's like, "You tell me you let your kids do what they want to do?" That's what happens when you jump in too fast and don't really know what's going on, you know?
Let's answer this last question. It says, as a spiritual man, how do I build with a woman that's not spiritual?
Hey, let me give you some. I have a shirt over here that I just made for y'all. Can you give me that brown shirt, please? It's right there, Nick, behind the popcorn machine. I just made this shirt. I'm gonna be selling it pretty soon. I had a design, and it says right here on the screen, "You cannot grow spiritually learning religiously." So it's not gonna work. But to say the least, just let y'all know, when y'all do come out August, make sure you get your tickets. We're gonna have a great time. The link is in the description, and go to New Life Tools to get those descriptions. We're not just talking to you from people that don't have experience. Dreamwise and his wife have a lot of experience at what's going on. Brother Joseph has a lot of experience, especially being a tribal chief. I've been doing this for quite some time. I have my certification in the love languages. I have my certification in parenting. I took all of that, and so therefore those are things that I wanted to improve so that I can make sure. But it turns out today you can use that where I'm at today. So, you're going to get personal experience and you're going to get real life experiences. But the whole thing is the collective. Some things that you're going to say that maybe you can help some other people. So we're always open to share your experiences. And when you come here August the 8th, you're going to get a personal experience. You really are. And we're going to have an open mic. We're going to have a situation where you'll be able to talk in a safe place. Because that's what we're developing, because it is going to take people to come out of that shell, whether it's a man or a woman, to share some of these things. Because if you don't know, you don't know, but don't be afraid to think you're grown and you're dealing with a unique situation that you were supposed to already be prepared for. That's not how they work. All of it is different and unique. But at the end of the day, awareness, like Brother Joseph said, is going to be the most important factor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, sir, family. Yes, sir. We love and appreciate y'all, man. Love and appreciate y'all.
I appreciate y'all. I got to get ready and head out. I just want to remind the guys to come on out. It's going to be a good time. Don't worry about your age. Please don't. Whoever you are, come on out, family. Maybe you don't believe
what's the name for the guys, the older guys that's one? The Cougars are out. The Cougars are ready.
Silverbacks, baby. Silverbacks. They're silverbacks. That's how you want to say. Yeah. Let's just go with that.
Hey, we love all y'all. You know what I'm saying? Come on out and have a good time, y'all. Come on out and have a good time. I'm going. I gotta get ready to head out.
My pimp. All right. So anyway, I'm going live talking about aliens right now. 5 o'clock. Y'all can go back to Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority. Go over to the New Love Life channel, because they're going to be focusing on a lot of relationships there on YouTube. Yes. What is the name of that YouTube channel?
New Love Life, New Love Events. Can somebody put it in the chat?
I'll put it in.
Yeah. So go there. Now our early bird is over with, right? Or do we want to just, like, right now? It's Thursday. Can we turn that back on to Monday? Is that okay? Or y'all don't want to do that?
I don't know.
Just give them one more time. Just one more. That's just me. We didn't have a meeting about that. Something tells me that somebody today need to get them a ticket.
Hey, let's turn it on to Monday then. You know what I mean?
Here we go.
There it is.
Yes,
all right, turn that early bird back on to Monday. And if y'all know, when you get the early bird, you get to go to Brother Joseph and Dreamwise and their wife table, and they got some free stuff for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I mean, get the free stuff. If you ever got some of Joseph's stuff, y'all get the free stuff. I don't think he's going to give y'all the 2.0 that I have over here behind me, but it'll be something. Y'all just go and get some stuff from them and get them early bird tickets. And then we're here in Dallas. We can't wait to see y'all. Someone said that down. Someone said that down. So y'all make sure y'all turn it on so they'll get them a ticket.
Come on out, family. I love y'all. I will see y'all later. Y'all have a good one. Hopefully the stream will keep going, but if not, I apologize. So peace and blessings, family. Peace and love.
All right. Okay, so yeah, y'all, I can't wait for you guys to come up and and then we'll probably have a little dinner or something afterwards, and well, y'all, I know how y'all like to